Hey everybody, Scott here with Everything Starts Somewhere. Today we're going to get into some plumbing work. I've got an old plastic three-way valve on my pool filter and the handle's broken off of it, so I picked up a stainless steel three-way valve. So today we're going to cut out the old plastic valve and we're going to replace it with a new three-way stainless steel valve. To do that, I'm going to have to cut away the old valve through some 1.5" Schedule 40 PVC. So we'll get that cut out. I've got a nice cutter tool that does that. It's just a ratcheting cutter. You'll see me use that several times. It works pretty good. You have to be careful as it cuts through the PVC. Sometimes it cuts at just a little bit of an angle. It doesn't give you a perfectly straight cut, so be aware of that. As you'll see, I can use the ratcheting pipe cutter in a couple of places, but I've got one spot on the other side of this valve where it can't fit in there with that. So I've got one of my DeWalt oscillating tools, and it's just going to cut in through that. If you don't have these tools, you can use a regular hacksaw blade. That'll work too. And there's some weird stuff with Schedule 40, Schedule 80, Schedule 120. They're not specific sizes, but it's the wall thickness relative to the nominal size. So the outside diameter is 1.9 inches for Schedule 40, 80, and 120. But the wall thickness gets thicker as the schedule number gets higher. This causes the inside diameter to get smaller as the schedule number gets higher, because the higher the schedule number means the pipe can handle higher pressures. So here's a quick chart of 1.5" PVC pipe dimensions. Like I talked about before, the Schedule 40, 80, and 120. The outer diameter is the same on all of them. The wall thickness differs on each one. And then the inner diameter, the only one that is actually 1.5" is the Schedule 80. And for bigger projects like this, I like to use this Blue Monster thread tape. It's wider, it's 1/2 inch thick instead of the typical 1/4 inch thickness that you have, the width anyway. So you can use this to get around the threads faster and easier. And I typically like to make 3 laps around my threads. And when I put the tape on, I go in the direction. So when I'm threading the pipe in, it's going to work to tighten the threads instead of pulling it apart. It would actually cause it to become tighter. So just something to be aware of when you're wrapping the Teflon tape, the PTFE. When you're wrapping it around, make sure that you wrap it in that direction. And like I said, 3 laps around is usually good on most things. Some things the threads are a little tighter, so I might just do 2 laps. But typically on most things I'll do 3. So this is my stainless steel 3-way valve. Each side of it has the same coupler that I'm going to put Teflon tape on and thread it in. So I'm not going to show you all 3 of those. I'm just going to go through the first one so you can kind of see how I'm doing it. So I'll get the coupler tightened in as tight as I can with my hand, and then I'm going to use these slip joint pliers to just snug it in just a little bit more, make sure that it's in really well, nice and snug and tight, and I'm not going to have any leaks when I get everything hooked up and pressurized. So I got the first one tightened, and I'm going to cut forward to where I've got all 3 of them in. And on 2 of the 3 connections that I have to make here, I've got good 1.5" pipe that I can connect to, but one of them, the pipe was actually cut right up against this Y valve, so there's not enough room. So for me to get this to fit in here, I'm going to have to cut this Y valve out and put another one in. I need to have some clean 1.5" Schedule 40 pipe on each side of this, so I can get the cleaner, the primer, and the glue applied. Most of the time now, it just needed to use I like to use the purple primer, but a primer. The primer usually cleans it and it primes it. It softens the PVC pipe up a little bit so that the glue is going to make a better bond. I'm going to go through and cut out these sections so that I have open PVC on each end, just regular pipe. And then once I have all the old pieces cut out, then I am going to start putting the new pieces in, dry fitting everything to make sure that I've got the correct lengths of all the pipe in all the directions that I need. And then after I have everything dry fit, I'm going to go through and figure out my glue up order, because sometimes if you glue things in the wrong order, then you don't have any room to move to glue another piece in. So you have to think through that. Sometimes you have to glue up 2 pieces at the same time to get everything to work. So this is the 1.5" Schedule 40 PVC pipe that I'm going to be using. Whenever I kind of fit it in and figure out measurements, I usually do it on the side that has the red printing, so I can kind of just mark with my thumb or make a scratch on it or something and know where I am to make my cut. Just using a rag to clean everything out. Some of these pieces I've had sitting in a bag for a while, so they've got some dust and dirt in them, so just kind of wiping things out. If you need to really get in there and clean it, like I said, use some waterproof sandpaper to do that. Make sure there's no rough edges on anything. You want a nice, smooth, clean fit. And whenever you put the pieces on and you're gluing them up, typically you use a 1/4 of a turn as you push it on, so that makes sure that it kind of rotates the glue so there's no open gaps for water to get out. So just kind of think about that when you're putting things on if you can. Sometimes you put things in places where you can't rotate it. So I usually just put like a little bit of an extra glue on there. And so right now I'm using the old pieces that I cut out, just kind of like laying them down below and working through what pieces I'm going to need to replace as I go through this. And I'll need to figure out what fittings and what pieces of 1.5" Schedule 40 PVC that I'm going to cut to put in here to fill all the gaps to make sure this is all put back together and that new 3-way stainless valve fits in here correctly. It takes a while to do this. Sometimes it seems like a pain in the butt, but trust me, you definitely want to go through, put all the pieces together, dry fit everything, make sure it all is going to work out the way that you think. Carefully think through the order of glue up to make sure that you're going to be able to get each piece put in, because some of these pipes are already in place. Some of them have some flexibility, some of them don't. So you need to take that into consideration. So just going through, running this through at a higher speed. This is me just doing my dry fit with everything. Go through, figure out the length of pipe that I need, cut them, and I'm just going to put all of it together, stick each piece in, make sure it all fits, everything looks good. And then I'm going to figure out my order of operation for the glue up to make sure that everything's going to come together correctly. So this looks pretty good now. I've got all the pieces there. So once I have this and it looks good, which this does, I will start to disassemble this and then start to work on the priming and cleaning of all the pieces, and then figure out the glue up order. Now this is my purple primer and cleaner. I'm going to put this on. Like I said, it softens up the PVC pipe a little bit. So when I go through with the glue, it helps it adhere better and gives it a really good seal. Once you put each piece on, you've got to hold it in place for about 30 seconds. There's a really interesting thing that happens if you just take 2 pieces of PVC and glue them up and push one into the other and don't hold them together. It will push itself back apart. It won't hold itself in place. So keep that in mind anytime that you're doing glue up stuff. Once you have it in place and glued, you've got to be able to hold it there for about 30 seconds. If something has a little bit more strain on it, or maybe going to be a little bit of push or a little bit of pull, something like that, I'll hold it for longer than 30 seconds just to make sure the glue's had a chance to set up enough it's going to hold it in place. I may hold it for up to a minute. So just keep that in mind as you're doing it. In the glue, you do not have a long time to play with this stuff. You've got to get it put on your surfaces, get them pushed in, and then hold them in place. So right here where I'm putting this valve on, I'm gluing 2 at the same time. So you've got to have it figured out how you're going to get the glue put on all the pieces. I put it on the PVC pipe, and I also put glue on the fitting. So I've got glue on both sides. So when I push it together, I've got plenty of glue to seal all the areas in there, and it's going to last for many, many years. And keep in mind, if you're doing this kind of work and it's going to be out in direct UV light, the regular Schedule 40 pipe is not specifically made for that, so it will deteriorate over time. It'll kind of get brittle. They do make a different PVC pipe that you can get that is rated to be just direct outdoor in direct sunlight. Where I'm doing this install, it's hidden under some of my solar panels. so it doesn't have a whole bunch of direct sunlight, so I'm not going to worry about it. If you want to, you can use the regular Schedule 40 PVC, and then you can paint it to keep the UV off of it. Just make sure good amount of the purple primer, a good amount of the glue. Like I said, you've got to work quickly once you put that glue on. It does not take long before it starts to set up, and once it starts to set up, then it's kind of done. You've got to stop, either get a new piece of pipe, or sand it all out and then put some new in. So once I have all of that done, I'm going to bring pressure back up. I'm not going to bring it up to full pressure at first. I'm going to bring it up to probably 1,000 RPMs on my pool pump. That's the lowest setting it has. I'll let water run through, check to make sure no leaks. If that looks good, I'll continue to increase pressure all the way up to the, I think it's 3,300 RPMs on the pool pump. Well, thanks for watching to the end. If this video has been helpful to you at all and you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing.